Good afternoon, everybody. It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1300 for military time. People who love it. If you're in the military, worked in a hospital. It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Get rid of that there. We have a wonderful Thursday. Unless you are living on the east coast of the U.S., then that is kind of an ugly day that we've got going on there. Thoughts and prayers with all the folks out there dealing with something that's pretty catastrophic. So, all right, let's get into it. We've had a pretty nice, pretty awesome drive in the, what does it say? One is waiting. We should be live here. Hold on here. Okay, now I think we're good. Okay, so very nice moves this afternoon, rather this like late evening and into the morning, and this afternoon we're seeing a pretty nice move here. Really, kind of really not any different than what we've been discussing. This is kind of the expected move and behavior that we're looking at as we're inching up. And we're seeing prices be pretty consistent. Yeah, some really nice price action, especially looking at Ethereum. It's up 14%. Some people are saying, well, that is stupid. No, really it's not. That's a pretty good rise, and the kind of rise that we want to see if we want to see a short covering rally, which will just add a whole lot of fuel and cause a pretty significant burst up in price. That'll be an interesting move. We're already experiencing a lot of trader FOMO. I love the amateur news sites when it comes to trading, where yesterday was all about how bearish the market is and how awful it is, and then as a shock, today's gonna be a big shock to them for some reason. It's unfortunate that, you know, financial news can't always be written by people who are traders themselves. I mean, ugh. Anyways, I know I'm bitching about it, but okay. So, when we were doing the Forex Lens material this morning, we went over some Gann seasonality cycles and everything. I'm not going to do that today, but I just want to kind of go over our charts, look at what we've got going on, what can we anticipate in the future moving forward here. I was actually thinking that we might experience some type of pullback because, you know, if we look at the lows of the 12th, like at 2 in the morning on the 12th yesterday, and then looking at today, we've gone from 167 area all the way up to testing that 212. So that's a pretty steep rise in a short amount of time. Especially, it's a nice bull run here, short term, without a lot of test, and we're still technically in a bear move. But the fact that we broke above this channel, very, very positive. We held this line of support. That's what we were talking about over the last couple days, that this is the ultimate area of support that we want to look at. And what else? Yeah, that should be that. So, looking at, where was that? Oh, I wanted to recommend a book for all of you. If people are interested in Gann, they want to know a good book to start off with, there's one called Pattern, Price, and Time, Using Gann Theory in Trading Systems. And it's by Hirschik. Oh, what is his name? I'm gonna put the name in here. It is James A. Herchick. Yes, James A. Herchick. That this is and I tell you, like, so his book is pretty advanced as far as technical analysis goes. So if you're unfamiliar with a lot of technical analysis, then this might be a little bit over the head, especially if you're unfamiliar with celestial phenomena like planets and lunar cycles, the 30-day sun cycles. Those are all important components of Gann's work. Also, if you think that automatically what I just said was silly or dumb or pointless, then the book probably isn't for you either. But Pattern, Price, and Time, he does a phenomenal job, and it's really, he wrote it, I think originally one came out in 98, and then he updated it in 2013. But it's a phenomenal book. It's actually part of the Wiley Trading series. The Wiley Trading series books, they are fantastic. I mean, if somebody wants to get into trading, if you want to understand technical analysis, get into trading, then these books are really where you want to get started, because all of these books, all of them, or at least all the important ones, they are part of the Chartered Market Technicians material. These are constantly updated. If there's anything to update, if you're an Elliotician, this is probably, I love this book. This is one of the best books on Elliot and on Elliot. Visual guide to, oh wait, that's not it. It's a visual, where is it at? It's a visual guide, visual guide to Elliott wave trading. This is a phenomenal book. It's longer, it's wider than it is tall, so it's kind of a abnormal book, but this is probably one of the best, this is probably the best Elliott book ever that I've read. Again, like, actually right here is what I was thinking, is that they said they know that simple does not mean easy, but they really make it less of a headache by kind of eliminating a lot of the dogmatic approach that Elliot, there's a lot of Ellioticians who are like, I don't know, it's like a religion to them. It's weird, but if you're interested in Elliott wave, this is a fantastic book. I have no idea what this one is. The Art of Trend Trading, Animal Spirits, and Your Path to Profits. I have no idea what the hell that is about. No idea. It sounds ridiculous, so this is why I want to actually pick this up and see what the hell is this about. I haven't even read the thing, but the title just threw me off. But point and figure charting, if you like point and figure charting, this is hands down, if you want a good resource for trading material, this is it. Okay, this is the best that I've ever come across. The most concise titles. I think you'll really find a lot of benefit here on the Ichimoku system. That's the weird one. So there's a guy named Manesh Patel. He wrote a book on the Ichimoku system. It's actually really it's a really good. Actually, it's 2009 is when he wrote this book. It's a really good book, and it does a good job of going over the Ichimoku system. But there's a gal named Nicole Elliott, and I think hers is a little bit more. Hers is better because she talks about how she ran an FX floor in Japan, and her employer sent her there, and when she got there, she had no idea what all the Japanese floor traders were looking at, because it was something that she was unfamiliar with. But the Japanese knew everything. I mean, the Ichimoku system is a Japanese system, and so she had to learn it there. And I'm fairly certain that she's one of the first experts that ever went over that stuff. Anyways, kind of babbling here. So, taking a look at our market, very awesome, nice, wonderful moves. You know, anytime we've been getting a little bit of sell pressure, we've been getting quite a bit of buying. We can see a lot of buying candles here. And, you know, the fact that we've traded up to past 200, we're holding above it, that is pretty bullish. I mean, we should expect a little bit of a pullback. You know, looking at this entire, actually scroll it down, I think a return to this value area here to test it, the 196. I think a return down to here, a pullback, is something that could definitely be seen, or just at least to this arc here. So a pullback down to here would be pretty healthy in Ethereum and Bitcoin. Bitcoin. That's a pretty nice breakout from the shoulder, or from the inverse head and shoulders breakout. Again, where are we at? We are right. The 13th is where we're sitting. We have this pivot in time. This red vertical bar here represents a pivot where we should observe some pretty significant rises in prices from this area, and it should happen very, very fast, very quick move higher from where we're sitting. And again, that should happen, you know, give or take a few days before or after is when we should see that move. But certainly, you know, the thing is when things are trading inside the arc like Bitcoin is right now, prices do not like to stick around in these arcs. They often have dramatic moves to exit them or to stay away from them. In fact, they're kind of like accelerants or indications of some wide volatility, wide swings. And so the fact that we're just kind of inching up towards the edge of this arc, one could have the fear that it would sell off quickly to retest the neckline, or once it breaks out above, it'll move very, very swiftly higher. So that is something to take a look at and pay attention to as we're moving forward. The altcoin market has had, I mean, it's had a pretty nice drive higher. If we look at Cardano, in fact, I mean, I really like it at this price level still, because we're still below this 08 harmonic. This is like I mean, there's nothingness below. I mean, things flatten out and disappear when they stick down here for too long. But it's not uncommon for a new instrument to trade below here for a little while. But yeah, we should not observe Cardano sitting below this 79.21 line for very much longer. I'd be surprised if it stayed down there before into Monday. Basic attention token. That is a wide distribution of price on the daily and the current daily as well. We're seeing some higher movements. Walton Chain has a bit of recovery here on the daily. Nice volume. It's the highest volume traded on the daily in the past 6 days, and there's still plenty of day left in this market. So, and then we have Nano. It's caught a pretty nice bid. This guy's rocketing up. It's bounced right off of this harmonic right here, and yeah, it's a pretty interesting move. How fast it bounced off of that yesterday, and then that's really continued into today. And of course, we see a little bit of profit taking as we get up to the 39.39. This is actually the musical harmonic lines. When we get up to that line, then we will experience a breakout on a retest here if we look at it on a faster time frame. Also, I'll get to that later. XLM, very bullish on XLM. Very nice action here. It's just sitting right here on the bottom. We should expect to see that trade up a little higher. One of the big ones that's actually moving, it's had quite a bit of momentum behind it, is EOS. EOS has had a huge participation this morning. I was watching this guy just drive up higher and higher. And I mean, the thing is that on EOS, so there's an hour and 45 minutes left on the 4-hour close, but on EOS and a lot of these pairs right now, there's only been we're just seeing like 2 hours worth of some pullback and flag forming. Like if we were to go to a 15-minute chart where you would see pennants and flags forming off of these inside these hourly candlesticks. And so there's a high degree of tradability here because these are easy to trade. They're continuation patterns, and we could actually go to a 15-minute chart. And yeah, we can see, well, here's a pennant with the breakout, and right here we have a pennant as well. And so where's the entry on a pennant? It's you got to be, it varies, but I mean probably above this high right here. So at 50.50 or 550 rather would be the safe entrance. Let's see, zippity-doo-dah. XMR or Monero has had a really nice, ooh, that's a head and shoulders pattern. Monero's had a pretty steep drive. Now it's had some profit taking. Really nothing screaming that this is going to sell off or go down anywhere. It's got a lot of pump behind it. And what the hell is this? Friends. Monero, that looks okay. ZRX. Facing a little pressure here on the hourly. It looks like we're maybe going to form a pennant or just a flag or a consolidation zone before the next breakout, which is what actually we'd like to see here. We've had a really steep rise over the last 24 hours, and it's been nice, but we don't want to go crazy. Okay, we would like to see a pump up like this, followed by 8 hours to 24 hours of a pennant or a flag or a consolidation range, and just some continuation patterns to let it form some type of base and get some equilibrium before it makes the next move. We don't want to go parabolic. ZRX, Ripple's actually had a pretty nice move today too. Steam, kind of underperforming. Not really impressed with Steam right now. QTUM facing some pressure there. Populous, same thing. Looks like it wants to try. It's been trying to breach a neckline in this head and shoulders, but it's so far it's been unable to do that. OMG, pretty nice structure. There's just a series of more and more breakouts in a lot of these pairs that are stepping up. Lisk. Nah, I don't like this one. And IOTA actually had a pretty nice drive. So we're just sitting in a range right now where the moves are nice. They're up here. It's not a bad idea to peel off a little profit. As we're going into the lunch hour. Actually, we're past the lunch hour. This is the time of day and trade. Like if all you've ever traded is cryptocurrencies, then you're not really familiar. Well, maybe you're not familiar, maybe you are. But really, after 11 and noon Central Time, so 12 and 1 Eastern, it's pretty much, markets are pretty much kind of done. There's not, barring any crazy news or random black swan event, there's really not a lot of things that happen after that. So, that we shot up in price. There's definite signs of some profit taking, which is normal and healthy. A pullback should be expected, but it doesn't have to happen. I mean, the price action is displaying the kind of activity where people have gotten used to the short idea and they're shorting, but then those dips are getting bought up. The structure here is holding. I want to take a look at all of these on the Ichimoku system because there's quite a bit of interesting things going on here. And if tomorrow I want to go through, tomorrow's going to be kind of a cool day because I'm going to go over the Ichimoku system, but I'm going to share a couple systems and trading methods within the system that you can try and use on your own. And they're not my ideas. They're actually from some of the authors that I've just listed. So Manesh Patel, Nicole Elliott, and what's the other guy's name? Oh, I forget. But actually, their research into Goichi Hosada's system, they have shared in their work the actual systems, and I've shared one of them here because that's the one I use. But I want to share the I think there's 3 of them there that I think are pretty appropriate for crypto. So tomorrow I really would like to go through that, and yeah. The title today for our session is "Don't Be an Idiot and Short the Market," because there is a lot of. I try to keep up with sentiment in the TradingView chat, Stock Twits, Futures IO, any Reddit channels. Watch a couple other live streamers, and there's a whole crap ton of people that are still wanting to go short. Now, I mean, we talked about this yesterday, but I actually made a trade. I did a trade idea this morning. Called "Don't Be an Idiot and Short the Crypto Market." Okay, and because basically, like, the people advocating shorting at the crypto market right now, they're one or more of 3 things. They're new traders who decided that right now was the time to finally get into shorting this market, probably because they've been in a painful long position or they've been unable to make money on longs, and they just are they've like been beaten down so many times that they're just like, okay, all right, I'm done. I'm going to short this market now. What we oh yeah, then so or they're trolls or it's just meant to be malicious. Regardless of what fancy schmancy theory you trade, just use some logic and think about this, okay? And I think you can wrap your head around this. Like, I don't think right now is a good time to be trying to day trade cryptos. I mean, I think right now is a good time to probably, and when I mean day trade, I mean, you could think about what am I trying to say? Like, I'm in like a holding position where, I mean, I'm taking trades and then setting some profit targets, or if it looks like the market's kind of sputtering out at a certain area, if it travels too far away from the baseline, I'll take some profit. But I'm not actively trying to get out of a position because a lot of these positions that I have open at these levels are just ones that I'm fine sitting there. So really finding some entries on any deeper pullbacks is most important. But just think about this for a second on shorting this market right now. Just use some common sense. I don't even know if you have to use logic, but use some common sense. Does it make sense to short a market that is already down 80% from its all-time high, and that all-time high was also the calendar year high, and now it's trading below its year-over-year low? So a year ago today, a market, it's trading below that. That's not a good time to short. Does it make sense to short a market that has been in a consolidative accumulation pattern since late February? No, it's not. This has been going on for months, and the trading ranges have gotten tighter. They've constricted more and more. The volume has dropped off. All of the things that point that, like, this would be on a technical analysis test. What are some signs that an accumulation period is ending and entering into a new bull market? A constriction of the range and a drop in volume. That is right there. Does it make sense to short a market that is today Actually, it's been going on since the beginning of September, but today just beginning the seasonal bull phase. That probably is not a good idea to short something during a seasonal bull phase. Lastly, does it make sense to short a market that has lost over 70% of its value 13 times in its very short history, only to rally exponentially higher each time? No, it's very dangerous to short. Shorting is inherently dangerous in any market except for Forex and futures, because it's as easy to go short as it is to go long. There's no penalty for shorts. You don't have to borrow shares or pay a premium to borrow for shorts. In cryptos, I mean, you could say that it's easy to do it, but it's not, and there is cost associated with it. So, anyways, it does not make sense to short right now. It's unless you're like doing some scalping, and you know it's just a very, very bad idea to even short, and that's horrible advice right now. You know, we may get to a point, but we may think about doing it around 7,500, just because that would be a technical pullback to look for. You know, that would be an ideal area to look at, like large profit taking and maybe taking some shorts. But for right now, no way, not a chance. Not gonna happen. All right, take a look at the weekly charts quick. Take a look at the weekly chart of Bitcoin. It's kind of our gauge of the market, but I want to do it here. All right, here we go. And let's just take a look here. This is pretty flat. This is a pretty flat bottoming zone that we're in. And on the weekly, we have a definite inside a candle forming here so far. And you can just see how much the distribution or the range has just been getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So, you know, you can go from a weekly to a daily and then see how tight it gets. But then eventually there's going to be a point of equilibrium where from the weekly all the way down to like a 1 minute chart, where that range has finally gotten so tight and coiled that it cannot go anywhere, and it's just going to generate a large move. And we're really right at that time. We're sitting right there. I think that's why that current time pivot that we see in the square 52, why the 13th is such a important date to pay attention to, is because of that pivot. This daily candlestick is very bullish, very healthy. Really like a lot of these moves. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty straight up angle. You can kind of you can just imagine that angle there, how straight that is. But all right, let's do the Ichimoku on this. So Bitcoin. Oh, one note. If we have time tomorrow too, I want to go over that book, Gann, The Pattern, Price, and Time. It was actually, I read his original book. I read it a long time ago. And in it, he made the point that when you're using Gann's work, okay, it's just something I kind of figured out on my own when I first started using Gann, but how do you know which angle is a 45-degree angle? Man, I'm all over the place today because I had too much coffee. How do you know in your software that an angle is a 45-degree angle? It's hard to tell. So I call them terrestrial angles. That's when you take a compass in your hand physically and you look at it and you can tell what a 45-degree angle is, or you use a protractor or whatever. But the author And this is, I think, something that everybody who wants to anybody that that wants to do well with Gann, I think you have to do this. There's only a couple people that I've talked to personally who are big Gann enthusiasts, and I don't want to say what her name is, but she's from Australia, and she's like a freaking wizard, and I got to pick her brain for like 2 hours once, and I took her advice along with reading that book, and I started doing what they all suggested, is that you will never get a more accurate 45-degree angle unless you do your charting by hand. Okay, I'm not saying charting by hand takes a while. I have a deep respect for those old technical analysts, the founding fathers of technical analysis, who had to do everything by hand. Oh my gosh, I don't know how they had the patience for it, but that is what I do. But I don't do it on daily. I do it on weekly charts. So I took a picture on my phone, and so this is a chart of Bitcoin that I've done, that I do, and I add to it. I obviously have to add last week's on here yet, but this is what Gann did, and there is no more accurate 45-degree angle than what you're going to get if you're doing it yourself on graph paper. And this paper is 8 square per inch paper. This is the exact same kind of paper that Gann used, and so that is good enough for me. This is also makes it very easy to square, because here's the issue with chart software: is while it's awesome for so many things, there's an issue with logarithmic and things being until you do things by hand, you don't get a real appreciation for how off some charts are. Realistically, if we want to look at a chart and do it squared, so if I was looking at Bitcoin here, and well, I don't need to do that. If we were going to square our chart, at like 100, or actually 10, probably be more accurate, then this would be what our chart would look like. This is how we would look at our chart, because this is kind of how it looks, although very squelched in, is how it looks on your when you chart by hand on a graph paper. So this makes things a whole lot easier for a ton of things, but I have seriously found no replacement that makes it as accurate as the charting by hand. Plus, it's really cool. I don't know. I'm a nerd, so that's all right with me. My wife can't stand it though, because it takes up a lot of room, and you'll end up like, I have a Euro chart that takes up like a wall. I mean, it's so large it takes up a wall, because you go from, because the scale on it's pretty big, but damn it if it isn't accurate. Okay, looking at our charts here. So this is Bitcoin and the Ichimoku system. Remember yesterday we were talking about, actually we had some trade ideas yesterday on a number of trade ideas. So like we had XLM. The trade idea yesterday was a long at 1.205. Obviously that did work. 1.205 is right here. We were looking for price to cross, break the prior high candle and the lagging span to be above it, and for price, really we were just waiting for the lagging span and price to be above the prior high over here. So that has worked out pretty well. Nano wanted to go long at 002875. Pretty sure that one worked out. So when we were talking yesterday, Nano was trading, so here's the 12th, and we were talking at 1 o'clock my time right here. So we were looking to trade at Or did we take that trade, actually? Did we take it right off the bat? We did, didn't we? Yeah, we did. You're right. I'm right. Talking to myself. Basic attention token. Wanted to go long at 22.84. That's worked out. Brought us above the cloud on the hourly. Monero. Monero on the daily is looking pretty awesome for a nice break. We've got this. I was going to talk about Monero here in a second. But we see this, actually, we've seen a number of these bullish flag patterns show up, and we've seen a breakout of that pattern. And so we should really expect to see that breakout either continue or maybe retest the breakout and kind of come back to that channel a little bit. That would be pretty normal and okay, but on the 4 hour we have that breakout. The 1 hour showing that we may have it's weird that it's finding some support around here because there's really nothing there, but if yeah, there we go. If you didn't get long in, or if I didn't get long in Monero, I have to remember to say me when I mean to say me. If we have price trade back above 1755, so that'll bring us back above the conversion line, then I would be fine entering in on a long there on the hourly. Otherwise, on the 4 hour, if we remember that the lagging span also responds to support and resistance, just like price does. We see that there's kind of a big zone here that's facing a little bit of resistance horizontally. So there's a really thin cloud here, which is great, but we don't have the twist done. We don't see the cloud ahead green yet, and we're sitting right on right at the bottom of the cloud here, and then the lagging span is near the top of the cloud and the baseline. So once we get a breakout above both of those zones, then we're pretty golden. But I'd wait to see if that happens tonight, maybe around the Sydney and Tokyo Open. Certainly by the London Open, I think we would, if we're gonna have another bullish back-to-back bullish day in altcoins, then we should see this continue to move higher. But I probably would not expect to see that this afternoon. Who knows? Could. OMG. Oh my god, my neighbor's dog. Ugh. Okay, so we've got OMG sitting here. The daily has got a beautiful bullish pivot forming here. If we do close as is, it's pretty awesome. We've got a really nice looking hammer candlestick yesterday, followed by we could close near the high. That would be fantastic. 4 hour chart. It's pretty healthy that we've moved across the baseline. It didn't sell off. Facing a little pressure up here now. The daily, that's pretty flat. Really thin cloud though, easy to trade above it and below it. Shouldn't face a lot of resistance here with the lagging span. Why is this facing some selling pressure? Well, it's because the lagging span's coming up against the bottom of the cloud. This is natural. The natural thing for the easiest price likes to travel the path of least resistance, and the easiest way for it to go is down to avoid the cloud. So lagging span, if it traded down to here, then what would happen is we get support off of these three zones here: the top of the cloud, the conversion, and the baseline that act as a support. This is a big support zone right here on the hourly. But OMG, we went long at 0.005 even, so we're just a little bit up on that trade. Dash. Well, we want to go long at 179.95. That worked out obviously very, very nicely. We did, yes, that's right. Okay. Looking at actually the hourly may pull back down to here. Daily sitting inside the cloud, so that's normal for us to be indecisive. And then Ethereum. We had a long idea on Ethereum at an entry at 183, and we know that that's Bitcoin shorts. We know that worked out just fine. ETH. Very, very, very bullish candlestick here forming on the daily. We still have 5 hours and 20 minutes left for this daily candlestick before it closes, and the volume is pretty substantial. We're almost at all the volume traded yesterday, but yesterday's daily close, I don't think you could find a more textbook bullish reversal candlestick than this hammer right here. All the conditions. You're at a new or important swing low area. The volume was rising as we got to this. The volume bar is higher than the prior candlestick, and then however many more it's higher, that kind of adds to the bullishness. And then just the shape of it itself is pretty significant. This is just a screaming bullish reversal candle here. And it would be very weird to see prices trade off down from this zone. So on the daily, that is a gorgeous candlestick. In fact, daily traders would probably wait for the last 15 minutes of the close and then take the trade if it's trading up there. So Ethereum on the 4 hour, not surprising that we are facing a little resistance here. Why? Because price, it did cross above the conversion line, but now we're just above the price action. We've got the baseline as resistance, and then the top of the cloud here is acting as resistance. And this is a thick cloud, so it's hard for price to pierce and get into and trade above a thick cloud. But on the hourly, we have kind of a different story here. The hourly had a nice breakout. It's a thin cloud. It's not bullish or bearish. The cloud is very weak. We do have the cloud ahead is green. I mean, this is so far the conversion line has acted as a pretty good support level, initial support level. There are some Ichimoku traders that don't give a lot of credence to the conversion line as far as a source of support or resistance. They only use the baseline as a pullback level. But I mean, because there are technically 4 support levels. It's conversion, base, top of the cloud, and then the bottom of the cloud. Those are all of your support zones. And I don't know if I don't remember if the theory says that all 4 of them will be tested. That doesn't sound right, though. It doesn't sound right. So Ethereum looking pretty nice bullish here. Not seeing a lot of urge to sell this off here. Interesting chart to look at right now is the short chart. This is the short positions, the daily short interest for Bitfinex. These are as price has gone up in Bitcoin and Ethereum, the short interest has also risen, and it's at these all-time highs. This is the all-time high for Bitcoin, the short. So it's looking pretty interesting. These positions up here could cause a big rally to the south, especially if Bitcoin continues to push higher. The last time we saw this 51% rise was right before that big sell-off last week or 2 weeks ago. So was that last week? I don't remember. All right. What else? I mean, we're just kind of waiting to see. I'm really interested to see what happens this evening in regards to not really Bitcoin's price action, but what Ethereum is going to do. I think it's awesome that it's had a lot of support to stay above 200. This arc here should act as support. The volume point of control is sitting right at 196. You know, I like to trade the Ethereum Bitcoin pair as kind of my favorite trading pair. So any pullback down to the point of control, which is normal. It's normal for prices to want to come back down here, but this would act as a support zone. Prices do pull back here. I'm a buyer there. I would buy on that pullback. But real quick, you know, we've been talking about this, you know, on September 11th. Talked about this trade idea where the kind of the Alamo, the Battle of Thermopylae, the final zone down that we can be trading at safely and comfortably, and to assume that this is the actual bottom is this 1/8 major harmonic of $181.38, and Ethereum has tested it lower and firmly rejected and traded higher, and we should expect to see this level hold and then just really see it continue to drive up here. If we get a series of 1 and 4 hour candlesticks where there's been clear pressure to try to push price down, but it just keeps getting bought up like it has been doing today, that is more than likely the behavior that will continue until we surpass the last swing high. So yeah, I'm actually pretty pumped and excited about this market, and I think it's going to be really, really cool. Be interesting to see how deep of a pullback we get before the next drive up. So, or if there even will be a pullback, because on the mirrored foldback pattern, where are you at? On the mirrored foldback, we are sitting right on top of the area that would tell us that there's a huge drive to the north, or rocket ship, to borrow the phrase, higher. So anyways, hope you guys have had a good trading week so far. Hope you had a good rest of your trade day yesterday. Hope the day today has been going well for you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and give a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, if you watched it live, or if you're watching the recording. For excellence, folks, I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning. The rest of you, I'll see you tomorrow afternoon, same time at 1 o'clock. Hope you guys all have a great rest of your trade day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.